Hello, SuperCoach lovers. Welcome to the Inner Sanctum's look back at round four and our preview of round five. The Easter holidays have claimed a couple of casualties. A bit too much chocolate for Mike and Dan, but Mick's joined me again this week. How are you, mate?
Scotty, I'm well, mate. Yourself?
Yes, very good. Now that Geelong finally decided to play football, and your Bombers had a win too, which is great to see.
Yes, always makes the weekend a lot more enjoyable, doesn't it?
Sure does. We'll jump right into it. Big week of discussions for SuperCoach. We'll start with our usual Gary Ablets and Nathan Ablets from round four. Your Garys and Nathans from your side from round four, mate?
Gary's and Nathan's for me. The Gary's definitely Nick Dacos again, who I started off as my vice captain, nailing 151. So he's become a very reliable player for me. And for anyone out there, I think you can pretty comfortably stick the C or the VC on him. I think most weeks. Bontempelli was quite good, 122 in my midfield. Timmy English again pumped out a 145, so another excellent score from him. On the Nathans, probably again, Warple was again a bit disappointing, only 75. And Sam Doherty, I'm starting to get concerned now with Sam. He's only pumped out a 71 this week, so his average is still sitting around 85, but he's dropped a fair bit of price. I think about 80k now. So I don't know if it's a form thing. I'd have to ask Dan if he was back in the pod and ask our Carlton man what's going on with Doc. I didn't see any of the Carlton game on the weekend, but it is cause for a bit of concern though, because I think there are other options for Premo defenders that we could target.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I reckon we can have a chat about him later when we talk about the must-haves going forward. Well, I was looking the goods, chucked the C on English, all good there, looking good for most of my league wins, and then my Gary definitely Tim English. He will be most weeks, I reckon, for people. I had Dacos too, but you already mentioned him. I last minute changed Max Holmes, my favourite player, to Will Setterfield, thinking he'd score more, and then Max Holmes ended up scoring about 30 or 40 more on him, and that's about how much I lost by. So
always the way.
It's always the way. So him and I've got Sicily and Doherty. They both struggled. So I'm not sure what's going on with Doherty, like you said. So we'll have a bit of a chat about him a bit later. But a bit disappointing to finish. I needed 110 from Sicily to claim the win. Couldn't quite get there, which was a bit disappointing, but that's all right. We move on.
Yeah, move on.
So for a lot of our fans out there, the 100 or so that watch, the ruck merry-go-round continues. We had Gawn, he's gone. Cameron's cooked. Witts wilted on the weekend. He was a late withdrawal. Even Marshall from the Saints was managed. So subbed out late. So advice, Mick, for those out there who happen to bring in Witsy, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't actually heard what happened to Witts. It was a late withdrawal, was it?
Look, the week before he looked knackered against Geelong. I should imagine it's not too big of an issue, but who knows? They haven't said, I don't think, exactly what the issue is. So
yeah, one to keep an eye on. Marshall's scoring's been a bit the last couple of weeks hasn't been great. Grundy's actually, he's really become a genuine trade-in option, I think. I mean, it's going to be difficult to know what the dynamic's going to be when Maxi comes back into the team, and if he's going to have what percentage of the hit-outs he's going to have, and if he's going to have that same impact that he's had in the last couple of weeks where he's scoring well into the hundreds. But English is a lock. I think we can all agree on that. But the R2 situation, I'm going to stick with Marshall at this stage. I'm not too concerned about him. He's showed that he's got a big ceiling. He can hit the sort of 130s, 140s, and it looks like if it is just a being managed issue, then maybe they just need to wait for him to sort of to get himself right during the week, and then hopefully get up for next week. But the ruck merry-go-round, it's always a tricky one, but I'll stick with Timmy and Rowan at this stage. It's not worth a trade just yet, but we'll have to keep an eye on it for sure.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, I think Rowan Marshall was just subbed out because that's Ross Lyon being Ross Lyon from all reports. So I don't think there's any too much of a concern. I think probably if you've got English and Marshall like you and I both do, you probably hold. I mean, Marshall's the sixth ranked ruckman at the moment, so it's probably worth just holding him just purely because you're saving trades. I mean,
Yep.
if you're chasing points and wins, maybe Brody Grundy for the next 3 or 4 weeks is the go. 144 again against West Coast on the weekend. So if you've got if you're willing to make the trade, they're at a similar price. Brody Grundy's 30 grand more. So if you've got the cash and you're chasing points, it's probably worth a go bringing Brody Grundy in for 2 or 3 weeks. But like you said, when Max Gawn comes back, you can't imagine those scores happening. Sean Darcy down 125 again. The second highest ranked ruckman is still Toby Nankervis, averaging out. In on total points, this is. So he's just consistently going all right. So, I mean,
He's turned back the topic, Toby, isn't he? Yeah, he's scoring really well this season. Yeah.
So that the ruck merry-go-round continues. We'll see which ruckman or two decide to cop it this week, as long as it's not Timmy English, because that's the one we're all relying on. Then
that'll screw over most of us. Yeah,
for sure. One of the things to look forward at as well, Mick, this week is we're getting close to when the position changes happen for the players. Some players become dual position. So after round 5, some of those changes can occur, provided the players have played 4 of the 5 games. I'll just reel off a few that I reckon are potential locks, and I'll get your word on what your strategies you've got, if any, at this point. I think I think Sheezel's going to end up being a forward defender. So, and same with Jack Zeeble at North Melbourne. They'll both go from forwards to forward defenders. Does that change your mindset at all about those guys?
Probably not so much. I would have thought Sheezel might have actually become a forward mid. No, is he looking more?
Yeah, no, defence for sure. So
defence, okay. It actually makes things interesting because of the conundrums I have with my defence at this stage with Doherty, and I've got 5 rookies in my defence, which is about standard. You start with 3 Premos, 5 rookies. Ginby's been really good. McKenna's been good, but Cowan, only another 51 this week. Wilmot, just another 50, and Constable out again this week. Maybe I might look to switch Sheezel, from forward to defence, and then bring in a trade out Charlie Constable, and then bring in a different forward, someone who's been scoring quite well in the forward line. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I think Sheezel is going to be, obviously he's going to be a lock for our teams up until at least the bye. But then if he keeps pumping out these 110s, then he'll be a lock for the whole season. So
spot on.
Do you want him in your forward line or your back line?
That's the thing. I think you probably want to get some flexibility. You're right. I think coming up to the buys, he'll be there at least, and then you probably want to have a couple of the forward defenders to be able to switch if need be, depending on what's happening during those buys. I mean, Sheezel and Zeeble being for the same side is probably not going to help, but you certainly can look ahead, and if you move him to defence because you've got a forward/defender already up in the forward line, or vice versa, having one on each line would certainly help. I mean, we've all got Sheezel anyway, so you're just a matter of where you decide you want to place him. A couple of other ones. I watched Will Day for Hawthorn run amok in the middle today. He'll end up going from defence to defender/mid for sure. Is he a must-have defender, you reckon? And if so, does it help that he becomes a mid, Mick?
Yeah, is he? So what's his average at the moment? Have you got it? Have you got his average there in front of you at this stage?
You're putting the pressure on me.
What did he score today? It was he played quite well, didn't he?
It's about the only Hawthorn. He got 107 today. His average is 101. So
101. So yeah, if he moves to defence mid, I think a defence is a pretty good. If you can have. The thing is with midfielders, they're a dime a dozen for players that score over 100. Whereas the defenders and your forwards are a little bit harder to come by. So if he does become defence/midfielder, not just a straight out midfielder, which you would hope would be the case.
So they're definitely they definitely keep the original one, so there's no
Okay.
dramas there.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd 100% leave him in defence. There's, like I said, there's just too many options for good midfielders throughout the year, and I think Will Day will be in the top 8 midfielders. I think there'll be at least 8 blokes that can take that role ahead of him. That can average over 105, 110. So I'd leave him in defence if I had him, which I don't, but that would be my advice to anyone that does.
Yeah, I guess you're really looking at these blokes for not to be midfielders, to be defence/forward, depending who they are. And if you just want the flexibility, particularly for those buy rounds. Him being defensive mid might just mean a week he can move into the midfield if need be. If you've got someone like, even if you've still got Wilmot by that stage, he'll end up becoming defence/mid as well after next week. So he might be the last one you hold on to, and you can switch those two around to help you out through the buys. A couple of others that are looking likely/locks. Bailey Smith will probably will definitely end up as a mid/forward, having just been a mid. So that might be one that we consider for the forward line that we wouldn't have as a midfielder. Your thoughts?
Who was that? Sorry, mate. You cut out there.
Bailey Smith from the Doggies.
Smith. He's so he's scoring as well. He's been. What did he pump out this week? So I need to get
more. He got 69 this week, mate, only. So he's averaging 85.
Bailey, yeah. I think so he's at this stage. Sorry, mate, I'm a little bit frazzled at the moment.
Okay. He's okay. All good. He's going to end up as a forward as well. So I'm just wondering whether we reckon we go with him as a forward. I'm thinking maybe not. There's probably a few out there that are more likely, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 80. He's only up to 85. He's been a bit inconsistent the last 2 years, Bailey. He's had some issues, some off-field issues that have sort of caught. Maybe it's affected his game to some degree, but he hasn't become that sort of reliable player that he was 2 years ago. I think he was scoring well into the tons every week.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm going to stick away from him. I want to see just some more consistent scoring out of him before I ponder putting him into my forward line.
Yeah, stage. I mean, if he ends up, when he does end up as the mid forward, if you're looking for a bit of point of difference, and you just never know with the Doggies as well who you're going to get playing. You might end up playing the next 6 games in the midfield purely, and then you bring him in, and then all of a sudden he's a forward again. So it's always a bit of a miss with the Doggies. Just a couple others out there that people might keep an eye on. Lockie Whitfield will end up as a defender/mid. So he was just a mid only. So you might, if you could recapture that form from the last couple of years, particularly a couple of years ago as a defender, you almost put him in. But
he was almost a starting D6, starting D1 to 6, wasn't he? A few years ago in the field before he was moved into the defence. Before he was moved into the midfield. So definitely keep an eye on him.
Yeah, he's one that I'll certainly be keeping an eye on. I don't reckon that there's any you'll bring in necessarily just because you want the extra position, but one to watch as well. I don't reckon he'll get there is Jack McRae. So he was 30% forward prior to this round. You've got to be 35% in that position to get the spot, but that just shows you how much Luke Beveridge is playing Jack McRae forward, which is a bit surprising, certainly, to see that was 30%. But
very unusual for Jack, isn't it? He's been such a reliable midfielder for us over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years almost. Just an absolute ball magnet in that the heart of that Doggies midfield. So it's a bit surprising to see him push that forward a bit more.
Yeah, it means he's only scoring. I've got him. So I wouldn't have had him if I knew he was going to be 30% forward. He's still getting 100 to 110 each week, but he's not getting the 130s, 140s. So.
It could be a good switch into your forward line though if he does end up as an 110 averaging forward, and I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, him and every man and his dog would be getting him if he becomes a forward, I reckon, for sure.
True, but you've already got him in your team, so say you're a step ahead of the rest of us.
Yeah. So plenty of them to keep an eye on. We'll see what happens after they release those. Looking forward. We also got to the stage of the season where you're starting to think about which Premos we need and want for our team for the rest of the season. So we thought we'd just spend a couple of minutes reeling off who Mick and I think are the sort of must-haves at this point. And if you don't have them, you're you're behind the 8 ball compared to everyone else. We'll start with the defence, Mick. Just give us a couple you think you've got to have if you're going to get anywhere this year.
A couple, I think they're going to be absolute must-haves in D1 to 6. Dacos, obviously, which I think we've all jumped on the Dacos train now. Luke Ryan, he's just been so consistent again, averaging 127. 111 this week. He actually started off fairly quietly in that game, and he came home strong. And he just gathered so many touches in that Freo back line. And Jordan Dawson's become another one now. 123 average has obviously been bumped up largely by his 173 this week. But they're big numbers and hard to ignore. I think Adam Sard is actually he's improved on his on his averages from last year. He's averaging 115 now. The Sicily, I mean, I've got Sicily in my team. I think he had a pretty slow game this week, but he's a proven 110 player. So I think he's also a must-have. So they're probably the main ones I'd be looking at. Apart from that, sorry, mate. Yep.
I'm definitely obviously Nick Dacos for me. Jordan Dawson. There's not many that play in the centre square, the centre bounces, and they're also taking the kick inside. If I knew that at the start of the year, he would have been in for sure. So he's now up to 618,000, which makes him very pricey, but the most expensive back defender. But I mean, you have to pay the money to get the blokes who get the points. So
that's it.
I reckon if you haven't got Dacos and Dawson, and like you said, Adam Sard just started like a house on fire. Even I was watching Mitch Duncan today, and he just uses the ball so well. It's only his first game, and he's only 480,000, scored 116. So maybe not a must-have, but he's pretty close. So you've sort of
this week. But wait till he's played his second game, and then look for that maybe. That trade before his price goes up, because if he pumps out another 110 to 120, then he'll have a break even of probably somewhere in the 20s, 30s, 40s, something like that. So he'll be bound to go up a good 50k if you can keep that up. So the likes of Mitch Duncan in your back line, that'd be if he's back to old Mitch Duncan form of going up all those touches and using the ball quite well, then I think he'd definitely want to keep an eye on.
13 defenders at the moment averaging over 100, and if you go to the mids, you've got 27 of them averaging over 100. So there's certainly more scope for getting a bit of point of difference. There's only the two, Luke Davies-Uniacke's 133 average, Clayton Oliver 131, and then you drop right down, and the next is 116 to Tom Liberatore, and you've just got a heap between 115 and 100. So what do you reckon about locks for midfielders? For me, it's just Clary at this moment. I really can't see too many others you'd go 100% yes, I definitely want them. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think LDU as well is a lock. 102 this week was, but that's after coming back from a bit of calf soreness. So I think based on his price, he's averaging 130. He's still only 590k. Compared to Clary's, gone up over. He's up over 700 now. He started
705.
99, and so he's gone up over 700. So he's still, he's still in that he's priced at where he belongs. Do you wait for him to have a couple of quieter games to pick him up as a fallen premium for around the 600 mark? If you can afford to do that, maybe. But I need wins now. I had 2 from 4 wins in the league this week. Had a respectable score of 21-21, but it's if I had Clary in my team, it would have replacing one of my lesser scoring midfielders. I might have got to hit 2150. So I agree. I think they're the only two that are the must-haves.
Sorry, you go.
Sorry, yeah. Tuke Miller is another. He's very, very high-scoring player week in, week out. Normally, he's actually dropped a bit this year. He's down to 625. He started at 660, so he might be one to pick up a little bit cheaper than normally.
It is certainly the conundrum you find yourself in. You want the blokes who are in form, but then you have to pay a bit more. And if you've sort of backed people as your premiums, do you want to stick with them? Like I've got Tuke and he's going okay. I've got Jack McRae, he's going okay. I've got Andy Brayshaw stinking it up. So do you take the punt and just hope that they can turn the form around? That's the thing. So One other one, I
Yeah,
think maybe if it's not this week, it's in the next couple of weeks. Is Rory Laird? I think that one-off um, bad game means his price is going to be nearly as low as it's going to be. So
yeah, yeah.
we'll just have to keep an eye on him.
Yeah,
Rucks,
I
I
try
think.
not to.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry.
mate. I try not to try out premiums. Yeah, they always come back. I think if they're just having a rare bout of bad form. I mean, Andy Brayshaw, he's an absolute gun. He'll turn it around. I'd be pretty confident of that.
I hope
I
you're
think I don't trade out. I don't trade out guns. Do what I would call a sideways trade, and gun for a gun who's just happens to be scoring better that week. I think it's a waste of a trade. I'd get rid of them if they get injured over a sort of 3+ week period. But other than that, you just got to back these guys in, I think.
Yeah. I reckon, we've talked about the rucks. I reckon the only lock at this point is obviously Timmy English. And then we look at the forwards. It's really hard this is where you can obviously make or break a little bit. A lot of us went Connor Rosie the start of the year. He's averaging just under 100. Josh Dunkley's only averaging 104 to date. Tim Taranto 106. Harry Sheasel's the third ranked forward at 115, which all of us have got anyway. Can you consider any forwards locks at this point, mate?
Other than those guys, Dunkley was a bit quieter this week, 84, but like you said, averaging 104. Taranto 106. There's probably, other than that, just having a look at some of these forwards here. The highest average one. I mean, you've got Isaiah Pickett's actually. He's only played the two games, but he's averaging 116. Jezza had a 156 today. But that is on the back of beating 6 goals I think he had.
Seven. Trust me.
Yeah. 7 was it? Yeah, he's not going to do that every week. So up until he got injured, Darcy Cameron was probably a really good option as well, averaging 110. But other than those guys, I personally wouldn't bring in Jeremy Cameron. I tend to stick away from key forwards in SuperCoach. It's too much of a roller coaster. Everyone who had Buddy over the years know what kind of a roller coaster it is with guys like that. So he'll give you a 150 one week and then a 50 the next. It's just it's a big it's no good for your blood pressure. So no, I think the ones you've mentioned are the ones I would be going with.
Yeah, I think at this point you just go on a bit of a hunch, And I know a few people I've played against have got Liam Baker. He's up to 10% ownership. A few people, a lot are on the Errol Goulden bandwagon. He's averaging just over 100. I think you just sort of back your gut says and see how you go with the forwards. There's no ones you go, everyone needs him. So I think that's the place where one week you win your league because of your forwards, and next week you bomb out because the ones you picked only score 60. So.
Exactly.
That's it. Exactly right. Just quickly, last couple of bits here. We've got to just have a look at the potential bubble boys, ones we can bring in this week. I think the main one that a lot of people will probably target is Jacob Van Ruin from Melbourne. So he's had a couple of games and his price will go up about 50K this week. He looked really good 2 weeks ago. I didn't watch the Eagles game this week, but only scored 53.
53 this week, still averaging 71, so he's had 90 odd the first week. Break even of negative 71. If you're looking for a new forward into your team, I've got Philippou, Chandler, Long, and Davey as my sort of thereabout rookies in the forward line. They're still playing. They're still generating cash. So I won't be getting rid of either of those four at this stage to bring in Van Ruin, who's scoring well, but he might. I think he's still going to be capable of those 50s as well as the 90s. So it's not. If he was, one of those players that's averaging 100 his first 2 games, then you'd probably just have to find a way to do it. But other than Van Ruin, there's only a couple of other guys that are on a decent bubble, like McElhenney from Adelaide, negative 45, break even. Ruckmen from Hawthorn, negative 43, but these guys are only averaging sort of 50, and McElhenney's priced at 244 as well. So
I've got Michael Laney. I don't even know how to say his name. He was great on the weekend. He's actually played 3 games, but I reckon with a a minus 45 break
Right,
even.
yes,
He'll
too.
still make 50 grand next week if you haven't got him. He scored
Yep.
103 on the weekend, so his price will rise for the next 3 or 4 weeks at least quite significantly. So if you haven't got him, I'd be jumping on. But you're right.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a matter of do you need him? So I've got Josh Bruce in my forward line as an example. His price is not really going to go up much more, I wouldn't have thought. So I could potentially make 100 grand and make the trade to someone in the forward line.
Yep.
But then you want them to be able to know that they're going to play a fair bit. So just that's the love of it, mate. You got to take the
That's
punt,
it.
like
You want the job security, you just don't know, do you? It's
that's it.
half the fun of the gamble. Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, just a couple to keep an eye on. It would be remiss of us not to mention, even though he's in absence, Dan's Rage Trade Corner. We look forward to having him back in the next couple of weeks when he gets back from his overseas trip. But just noting that since he rage traded Bailey Dale 102 and then 136 on the weekend, I just think that's great that he's doing really well.
Going to be an ongoing story with Dan. I think he'll rage trade, and then the bloke will score over 100 the next week. It's going to be a familiar story.
Any last thoughts? What are you looking at going into round 5? I think we kick off again on Thursday night. We're off to Adelaide for gather round, the whole league. So
yeah, which I'm not a fan of, being that it's an Essendon home game being played interstate, because my membership dollars going down the toilet. But anyway,
extra game, don't whinge.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking at just captaincy options. Thursday night game, Adelaide Carlton's probably no one there that interests me. I'm probably going to wait until Saturday's game. LDU can be my vice captain, and then loophole him into Tim English if required.
Yeah.
So
Tim English on the Saturday night. You've got LDU the Saturday afternoon. Dacos is in the last game, so I reckon a lot of people will be going, well, if my vice captain fails, they're riding him home on the Sunday twilight. So,
and anyone who's using Nick Madden as their loophole R3, the Giants do have the Sunday game, so
yeah, that's it.
So you can do that. So that'll be my strategy this week, no doubt.
Yeah, I reckon I'm similar vein. I'll roll the dice with someone in the midfield maybe, or even just go Tim English on the Saturday night, and then if he bombs, we've got Dacos. So all good.
Yeah.
All right, Mick. Well, thanks for joining me this week. Hopefully we get a couple more back on board. Thanks to the people out there watching, the Sanctum people. Please share it with your friends, and we'll see you all next week.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.